No, thank you. Sleepy. Come back in an hour.
Need sleepy.
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God!
It's now time for the Billy C Morning Show, part of the Billy C Boxing Network. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
Wait. That's my cue. And we're coming to you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Billy C Morning Show. And joining me is my man, Sal, Rocky, Cenicola. We made it through a week, my man.
We did. Here is Friday already. It's April Fool's Day, by the way.
I know. I was going to come up with something. I was going to... I didn't want to say what I was going to do, but you know, we're too old for that, you know. But anyway, Jeremy C. Oh, he's not with us today. Oh, okay, no big deal. Forgot about that. But hey, everybody, don't forget about our website. We got the poll question up. Manny Pacquiao versus Timothy Bradley, number 3. Who's going to win right now? As I kicked off the show, 71.4% of you feel Manny's going to win again. And Timothy Bradley, 28.6. If you haven't cast your vote, go on up there, cast your vote. Doesn't cost you nothing, you know. Click the thing. You know, don't forget we read your emails. So we're looking for your questions, comments, concerns, opinions, whatever. Just drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com. We're going to try to open up the phone lines a little bit later. But before we get started, we got some news to talk about. We got some scores to go over. We got more in the Floyd Mayweather versus Adrien Broner saga. You know, they're fighting a lot outside the ring, Sal. I'm wondering if they're pulling along the lines of a WWE, trying to set up something to end up inside the ring. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. I think they're going to try to promote themselves first outside as they are. And who knows? I think they're doing like a candidate in the politics or political world do. They're testing the waters. They're throwing it out there. They're giving talking points on their level. And but we'll see what kind of interest it's going to generate, what kind of promoter might bite down on this, and see. Let's make it into a fight.
Some of the comments, and we'll get to it a little bit later, but some of the comments that are being thrown around, it's you know, what really bothers me about Floyd Mayweather and his fans, and really, you know, I think it's the fans' ignorance that they drank the Kool-Aid, but, you know, Floyd Mayweather, no disrespect, because obviously he's a talented fighter, or was, because, you know, technically he's retired, but, I mean, you know, when all is said and done, you know, you could say what you want, but he's a talented fighter. But what bothers me is that when people try to make an argument for him, you know, it seems like their battle cry, Sal, which, you know, I mean, well, it's their battle cry is. So, well, I would hope that they had a battle cry, you know, sort of like that, but they don't, you know, their battle cry is more like, okay, guys, shut up, you know, but their battle cry is more like, well, you know, Floyd is good because he's undefeated and he makes so much money. I mean, as a former fighter, as a former professional fighter, and as a guy who absolutely loves the sport of boxing, what's your thoughts on fans actually putting a fighter up on a pedestal, and the first reasons they give and make the argument for is an undefeated record followed by the amount of money he's made? I mean, what's your thoughts on that, considering that, you know, most of the time we all used to think of fighters and make arguments. You know, obviously people thought one fighter was better than another and, you know, had differences of opinion, but usually the argument was based on their talent.
You are 100% right again. I mean, fighters that are promoted well are the ones that lead by example, that have a record, that have a history, that have a persona about them, that can say, hey, guess what? They're the real deal out here today. And his record and his fights and his experience will speak for himself. Now, I do agree with you. Mayweather is a very talented fighter, and if we look at boxing and the principles of hit and not be hit, I mean, he does exactly what that definition would incite. Is he exciting? No. Is he doing other things? No. But you know what? He's making millions of dollars, and we never looked at at much as far as outside the secondary or tertiary things, because all a fighter had to do was step in a ring, and his ability was what his talking points were that people would mention. And Mayweather has created a world and of followers that just do what they want to do, get the talking points like a politician and say, this is why we think he's the best. This is why we think he's the greatest. And instead of just letting his talents and his ability do it, and to be quiet and to be humble and to, you're going to sign for millions and millions of dollars. That's great. And, but live the life and lead the life that one would be proud to do. I don't know.
No, I mean, you get into arguments with people, and I mean good-hearted arguments, of course, not like you have with ex-wives or anything, but it's like the bottom line is you make a point, oh, so and so was the best, oh no, this one was the best. Well, the reason why is because of XYZ, and when these Floyd Mayweather fans use the reasons of money and undefeated record, it's just so shallow to me, because you could start to say, well, look at the fighters he chose, he cherry picked, he did this, he did that, and then it's like like yesterday Dak says to me, I know you are, but what am I? And that's kind of like their answer, yeah, well, he made lots of money. Where did your fighter, oh, Joe Louis was a great fighter. Yeah, well, he died penniless, what does that have to do with it? I mean, and it's just nerve-wracking to me, but in any event, we'll get to a little of that later. But I want to get everybody up to date. We kind of adopted a Division III college baseball team. And by the way, we're on Fridays, typically we don't take all of our normal breaks. So we will take a commercial break, maybe two today, but we're not going to be taking our normal break. So everybody, if you got to take a leak, you're going to have to do it while we're still on the air. But anyway, we adopted a Division III baseball team, the Keene State Owls. Yesterday they had a game, and it didn't turn out the way they wanted. They were leading the game, but they ended up going into extra innings and coming up on the short end of a 6-5 loss. The game was tied by the top of the sixth inning at 2-2, and by the time the game was over, our Owls have evened up their record again, now at 8-8. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and hope that this young team goes in the right direction. Joe Libby and Billy Harmon combined for 5 hits and 4 runs with a couple of RBIs to lead the team. So we'll keep our eyes posted for that. Now, if you're looking forward or wanting to see their schedule, check out our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click on the Keene State Owls banner, which you'll see on the left-hand side. And I want to thank my man Cagney for keeping us posted with all the happenings for the Keene State Owls. He also happens to be one of the coaches on the team. So also, I got an email to read. I want to read this one with you on the line because it has two parts. It's from my man Jesse. He's got a boxing part, and he threw in his comments about some political things. So let's read his boxing part first. He says, okay. Hey, Billy C., I hear that Andre versus Nelson is in the works. I see this fight very intriguing. If Andre impresses, I could see fighting a Charlo or maybe a Lara or even Julian Williams if Williams doesn't fight Charlo. I don't know. First of all, I think Demetrius Andrade is, although the Charlo brothers are big guys, Sal, I think Demetrius Andrade is a way better fighter than the Charlo brothers. The Charlo brothers, both, I like to refer to them both because, there's two of them. But the bottom line is I just, I'm not sure that they're that talented. I think Demetrius Andrade, although he had kind of a calculated professional record, when he had to step up, he performed just as well. And this is a guy that was an Olympian. I think he's the real deal. I like him. And, he just hasn't fought enough. I was actually surprised that he re-signed with Star Boxing and Banner Promotions because there's so many hands in his pockets now. You know how it is. It's like, he's wondering how many hands. It's like an octopus in this guy's pockets,
Well, yeah, that money does get divided up quite fast.
Well, the problem is they're so quick to take their cut, and then you hear a guy getting paid $1 million, and by the time it's said and done, they handed him a Benji. Here you go, here's your cut.
That's right. That's right.
But
10% off to the trainer. You got 33 to third to the manager. You got taxes. You got this one for the cut man. Yeah, it goes.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy. But
promotions, spar partners.
Exactly. Towel costs. Oh, that's.
Well, guess what? 8 weeks in training camp. Well, hey, we got to pay for some of that too.
And that's what I don't understand.
Food, forget about it.
That's what I don't. Yeah, the special food that's made for them. What I don't understand sometimes is with these fighters that all of a sudden back out of the fight. It's happened a few times lately. Over a couple of pounds, and like, oh, I'm not fighting him. He came in 2 pounds overweight. And you're saying to yourself, well, you don't fight, you're not getting paid. So it's like, who's paying for all that stuff, like you just mentioned, and I don't know, it makes me wonder.
Well, it also makes me wonder, again, we're looking at a sport that's never been known for its integrity on some levels, but a fighter's responsibility, you signed to make a weight class, you got to make it. I mean, I'll tell you, when I fought Louis Lamelli on the Pazienza undercard when he lost his title to I forgot right now, but he we had a weigh-in, and Lamelli came in maybe a pound overweight, but he had about an hour, 2 hours to lose it, and he did. He came back. I mean, and it's the same thing. I've always had to make weight. I came down from 165 pounds and 160 to make 135, and I'd make sure by the time I stepped on that scale that I was right on the money, and I was. I never had a problem. I mean, I had problems making weight, but I never had an issue where I was going to be overweight. And most of these guys, they know what the contract signs for. They know the rules, and they know they're supposed to be coming in on weight. And we used to weigh in the day of the fight.
Well, they're trying. Actually, I hope they go back to that because I think there's it's safer for the fighters because some fighters can dry out better than others, just based on their chemical makeup. But getting back to the weigh-in, I agree with you, and I know you're adamant about the discipline side, and I get it, but when you got a lot of money on the line, and if you're talking about a pound or two, and you feel that you're strong at your weight, it should, and they're going to compensate you, financially, whether you get 20, 30, 40% of your opponent's purse for his lack of commitment or discipline. Versus getting nothing and having the fight tossed in the garbage. I don't know. It's a tough decision sometimes.
Well, it's a tough decision, and if you have to make a lightweight limit of 135 pounds, and it's for a title championship, and one fighter comes in at 135, the other one's coming at 136, do you then not have it as a title fight? I don't know.
Well, in that case, the person that came in overweight, like we're going to be discussing a little bit later on the show with Adrien Broner coming in overweight, didn't even try to lose the weight. He lost his title on the scale. And that's what happens in a world title fight. If you come in overweight, and let's say you're the challenger and I come in a pound overweight and I'm the champion, well, I lose my title on the scale and now you're eligible to win that title. You're the only one eligible to win that title in this fight. But you have to agree to fight the fight, and
Right.
And that's a great example. I mean, you lose the belt, but as an opponent, you don't want to lose your shot at the title. You still have that shot. As a matter of fact, you're the only one, because if the fight doesn't happen, no one, you walk away just as if you lost a fight. Nobody's got the title, So
Well, exactly, and you know what you just said too. I think they should come back with the weigh-ins being the same day, and these fighters should fight at a more plausible weight class that they don't have to tear their bodies off. I mean, what if they choose to do so? That's fine. I mean, I'd peel off 20, 30 pounds to make the lightweight limit, and as soon as I stepped off the scale, 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the morning, I'd have a bottle of Gatorade and my father standing there with some fruit and some other stuff. And, I'd slowly do it, but I wouldn't want to, the day of the fight, I also don't want to weigh myself down and bog my digestive system with all this crap and all this food. I ate comfortably. I replenished my electrolytes, my fluids, and I'd have a little fruit. And then I have some carbohydrates in the afternoon. Very, very much going into the ring that night, probably right on the weight still, but you're looking at a day before. You look at some of these guys; they're monsters. I mean, they come in, they get down to 160, and by the time they get into the ring, there could be 175 easy. They got 24 hours to replenish and blossom, and boom.
Well,
it's a different weight class. They're light heavyweights.
And that's what I was just going to say. Well, first of all, electrolytes, isn't that spark plugs? Oh no, that's auto lights. Wait, electrolytes.
My car's in the shop right now. My Alfa Romeo. I think it needs more than electrolytes.
Electrolytes. Isn't that a vacuum cleaner? Oh no, that's Electrolux.
That's Electrolux.
Okay, all right. But anyway, by having the same day weigh-ins, all right, I think what we get is a true representation of the weight class.
Yes.
Because if a welterweight's going to weigh in on the day of the fight, he's going to have to, make his training regimen and have his peaks and all of that stuff so that by the time he steps on that scale fight night, he's 147 pounds. Fight morning, even like you say, you dry out, you take a healthy dump or whatever, and you don't eat anything from the night before. Maybe you dry out, 5 pounds or something like that, drink Gatorade, have a decent meal, and then relax for the fight. You're still going to be around, if you're a welterweight, you're still going to be around 147 to 150 come, opening bell,
If you're not a cafone and you slam the food down your throat,
then you have then you have a mess with the people sitting on ringside, But especially if you're fighting a body shot guy, but
forget about it.
Yeah, exactly, But today's big topic: Adrien Broner versus Floyd Mayweather. It's happening outside the ring as we speak. Will it happen inside the ring? We're going to open up the phone lines a little later. Don't start calling now. I'll tell you when, especially you, Joel. But anyway, my man Jesse also says, hey, Billy C., can you explain a fighter's promoters and manager's job for the fighter? Who eventually is the person that makes the fight for the fighter? For example, when I hear people who ask a fighter what's next and the fighter responds, we will say what my manager says is next. I don't know who exactly is in charge of looking for the fight for the fighter. Is the promoter or the manager? That's a good question. Typically, it used to be a manager would try to make and help a fighter with their career, but a manager also needs a promoter because a promoter needs to promote the fight. So, you need all three pieces of the puzzle to work well. You need a promoter that's going to promote a fight and give the fighter an opportunity to fight, because without a promoter, a fighter doesn't have any place to fight. But what has happened today is a lot of fighters want to make all their own decisions. And, they try to do that. And some managers have good connections and some don't, So it's kind of a different world. I mean, it was pretty cut and dry in your era, right, Sal?
Oh yeah, I mean, you had your promoter, you had your manager, and your trainer. And sometimes on a good day, a trainer would talk to a manager, and they'd say, "Hey, you know what? Let's look to get Sal this kind of fighter. Let's do this. Let's do that." And when Richie Giacchetti was my manager and my trainer, he pretty much did that. He was my co-manager, and he had his input, and we also trained and knew how to prepare for each fight we took on. And it's a different world today, as you said. And sometimes the boxers are making these decisions or trying to incorporate it. But, you got to align yourself with competent people. I'll never forget my morning, not the Blarney Stone. I had to talk one day after leaving Gleason's gym with Chicky Ferrara. And I love Chicky. Chicky taught me a lot. And he said, when I said, Chicky, when I turn pro, I want you still to be my trainer and do this and do that, because I was just training. I was with Duva at the time, and Chicky was training Scott Frank, Nino Gonzalez, Rocky Lockridge, myself, 100 years ago. And Chicky said, Sal, I'm going to give you a lesson right now. I'm going to tell you. When you go to look to get a manager, promoter, and a trainer, you got to look at us. We're all bad. I said, what do you mean, Chick? I love you. You're a great guy. He says, no, what I mean is this. Everybody in this game is bad. What you got to do is find the best of the bad.
It's true.
I'm telling you, that's how I look at my politicians today. But anyway,
it's true.
It was a lesson there, what he was trying to say. And through my travels and through my boxing experience, I knew what he meant. And it came to realization, to fruition. You got to find the best of the bad, because there's no real genuine panacea or something that's going to make it click. You got to work. Everybody else has got their own agenda. And what he was saying was, the promoters, the managers, the trainers, they're around forever. He said, you kid, you're a commodity. You only have a short span of years. And if you can't do it in a short span of years, no use hanging around and getting your head banged around so you're talking with marbles later on. And I knew what he meant.
Yeah, well,
it's true.
He gave you good advice. I mean, what I do with fighters I work with is I tell them right off the bat, I want a team, meaning that, it's not a dictatorship. A fight gets presented, and I think that the, fighter and the manager and if you have your own promoter or if a outside promoter is offering you the fight, you collectively discuss the pros and cons of the fight, the purse, the fight, what's your risks, what's the rewards, et cetera, and then collectively between all three of you or two of you or maybe there's even more, you come up with a good route to take. Do we take this fight? Yes. And then once you all agree or disagree or whoever makes the decision, you all have to follow through. That's the way we try to do it. But anyway. One last thing I want to mention before I read the last part of Jesse's email to get your comments is my man Dax and anybody that's watching live right now and you want to join in on the in our chat room and have your thoughts and stuff talked about. Come on over to BillyCBoxing.com and click the chat room button and come on in. You can log in with a Facebook or Twitter account in 2 seconds. But my man Dax is informing us that Floyd Mayweather on his Facebook page is pulling an April Fool's joke on everybody, saying that he and Triple G are set to fight in September at 154. now, it may be funny, but here's my thought. Okay, Sal? This is why I think Floyd Mayweather is nothing less than a scumbag, all right? And I say this because I know he's, a punk and a thug and all these things, and he's a very rich punk thug and all these things. But the truth of the matter is, and what his fans don't understand, is that Floyd's riches have all come from him fleecing these loyal fans of his by charging outrageous amounts of money. I mean, I remember winning a bet with a listener. The guy had to send me a shirt. I lost the bet. I had to wear a Mayweather shirt, but I kind of won because the guy had to send me the shirt, and I saw the receipt. He spent $80 on the friggin' thing, for a T-shirt. And it didn't even fit right. I mean, I ended up using, after I wore it for that, to pay off the debt, I ended up using it to soak up some oil stains in my garage, because I would never wear that piece of garbage again. But the truth of the matter is this. That's the mentality of Floyd Mayweather. He's teasing his fans with something that the sport of boxing would love. And Floyd Mayweather is so stupid. Everybody thinks he's so smart, but he's so stupid because his legacy, not that he's not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer right now, Sal, but his legacy would shoot up in everyone's minds if he fought Triple G, and even if he lost to Triple G. His legacy would shoot up because he had the balls to do it. That's the joke of Floyd Mayweather Jr. He's trying to make light of it by taking advantage of what all the boxing fans are longing for. So does that make him funny, or does that make him a scumbag? Me, I think it's a scumbag. What do you think?
Well, you just said it right there. You that would be a hell of a fight. That would be one that I'd pay to see because, I don't have to tell you right now my thoughts on Triple G. But I think it'd be a very, very good fight for him. I think that, to tout and to tease and to taunt is not the way to win the hearts of the historians and the people that really are going to be writing and talking about your legacy for generations to come. You want to be known for what you do in the ring and how you do it outside the ring. And it's not all there on some of these levels with most of these fighters, including Mayweather. Some of them are solid as gold, and they lead by example. They fight, and they let their fights do their talking because everyone will talk about how good they are. That's where Mayweather has to be on that level. Let his actions, which they do. He's a competent fighter. He's a professional. He wins. And he does it in his style, not anybody else's. And they fight his fight, not anybody else's. So I give him credit where credit is due. I don't like the guy, but I will tell you, he's one of the best out there right now because of his ability to drag his opponent down into his style of fighting where he can just be comfortable and beat him.
I agree, and that was well said, and I agree with everything you say. But to be the best, you have to fight the best.
You got to fight the best. It's like we talked about. It's like we talked about. We know you want to get me going. Okay, I remember the old days when you would see in fighters and their corners the urgency to win, to fight to win. Aaron Pryor's simple logic: you got to fight to win. And you want to know something? How about the time when I think it was Sugar Ray Leonard? He was losing in the late rounds to I think it was the first
Tommy Hearns fight.
Tommy Hearns fight. And what did Angelo Dundee do in the 12th or 13th round? I said, "You're blowing it, babe. You better get out there, do what you know to do." And what did he do? He went out there the following round. He had a sense of urgency. He said, "Hey, man, I'm going to close this show and I'm going to do it big." And that's exactly what he did because he had the triggers, he had the buttons, he had the reasoning, he had the heart of a champion. And that's what you got to see. That's what you got to. That's the relationship between a fighter and a manager.
Well,
that's why I love Richie Giacchetti. He knew how to tap into my senses and to get me. I mean, I was motivated. You didn't have to tell me to do too much. I was like a pit bull. But the bottom line is, a good relationship. You have confidence in your cornerman. You have confidence in your cut man. You have confidence in your trainer, and you have confidence in the people around you. And that's big because it means a lot.
Well, great fighters historically want to prove that they're great, so they go outside their comfort zone to show that they're great. Roy Jones Jr., a lot of young fans today have never seen him when he was at the top of his game because he's garbage today. He can't even, he beats up fans, and he's not even good as a ringside analyst anymore. But, in his day, he was clearly the top pound for pound. And what he did, and people will kind of give him less credit, but he went and did things that were not normal, like go and win a world heavyweight title. He fought John Ruiz. So what? People make it like, it was John Ruiz. Well, the guy took the chance. Floyd Mayweather has never fought anything outside of his comfort zone. The guy fights in his town. He makes all the rules. He picks the gloves. He picks the weights. He picks this. He picks that. I mean, that to me, it's like playing Monopoly with somebody, and they get to get the choice of, the race car or the thimble. They get to be the banker. They get to, and there's no sharing. I mean, it's just one-sided, my way or the highway. And on one hand, he's earned, there's no question, he's earned the position of being the guy making the decisions. But at some point in time, you have to go outside the box to prove your greatness, and to suggest that the reason why you're great is because you're undefeated and you make a lot of money is bullshit. I mean, it's just it's crazy, and it aggravates me, because when I think about all the great fighters, most all of the Hall of Famers have all done that. You mentioned Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Leonard retires and comes back, and who does he seek out? The best guy out of all of them. He goes and fights the best. He picks out Marvin Hagler, a guy that was, at the top of the division for almost a decade. That's who he goes after. That's a sign of greatness. Floyd Mayweather, I'm retiring. This is my last fight. Who does he pick? The easiest, most stationary, spent fighter in Andre Berto. I mean, come on. He fights Juan Manuel Marquez. He doesn't even step on the scale. He throws him an extra $300,000 and says, "Forget about it." I mean, everything is in his favor, and it's sickening. But here,
you got what you just said. He puts the leverage in his corner, and it's basically, it's not just one thing or two things or three things. It's like his design, and by his design, a perfect fight, a perfect scenario, a perfect location, a perfect ring, a perfect, whatever it is. And that's the boxing analyst talking in you. And that's the one thing that the pros and the true boxing people in the world will see, the black and white facts, versus what the fans see. And the fans see the money, they see the undefeated record, and they see basically what they've been taught to see, that marks some of the things that are good in a fighter. But like you said, the generations that we see in the past or saw in the past, a good fighter will seek out the best to become great.
Right.
I mean, that's what builds greatness. When you conquer and fight the very best you can on top of the mountain.
Nope.
And those are the fighters that people will talk.
And
they rise to the occasion.
And
they step outside their comfort zone.
And those fighters wanted to. They wanted to do it. They didn't have to be coaxed. They didn't have to be bribed into it. Right. They want to show. They want to show that they would. You mentioned King of the Mountain. When we were kids. Now kids. They're not going to take a chance with that. They might get hurt. If they could play King of the Mountain on Xbox or something, they will. But I mean, the bottom line is it's different. Hey Sal, I just want to give you a little heads up in the chat room right now. They're saying Coach is leading the way, saying that today you sound like, and you're going to love this, they say Sal sounds like boom, boom, Mancini. And then Dax responds, he says, I was thinking the same thing. He says, I think Sal must be thinking about making another comeback. So,
I'm ready. I want to get...
Yeah.
Hey, guys, thank you in the chat room. I'm going to start looking on you guys, too, and I'll read it with you. But, hey, man, that's great. And boom, boom. I know he was another warrior, from the generation. He fought anybody he could.
I love Boom Boom. He's one of my favorite fighters. Hey Sal, before we let go, I got to read the last. I know we're over our time, and I like I said, Fridays are a little less lax. I mean, more lax. I don't have to take as many breaks, but I'm still reading the last thought from Jesse on the emails here, and I got another couple, but this one here says, "Hey Billy C. I disagree with you about Donald Trump." Yesterday I was talking about Donald Trump a little bit. He says, and remember what I said. I said I felt that Donald Trump, although he's kind of a little out there and stuff, and I know he's not a politician, what I feel comfortable about Donald Trump is that he would surround himself with competent people because of his ego, and that, it's not going to be him. And, he's not making all decisions, and people got to understand that the president is a figurehead, similar to the Queen these days. They are the guy out front, but they're not making all the decisions. So with that said, he says, Billy C., I disagree with you about Trump. He thinks he's the greatest shit ever. He's a racist and wants to kick everybody out who disagrees with him. Jesse says, I believe Bernie Sanders is the person who should be president. He seems to be the one who has more reasoning. My thoughts on this, Sal, before we get your thoughts, is that, I don't know if it's fair. Everybody throws the word racist around pretty freely these days. And I'm not so sure you could say that Donald Trump is a racist. And I want to make something perfectly clear. I want to say this. Donald Trump, about the wall in Mexico and stuff, he's not saying that people can't, come to this country. What he's trying to say is that they got to come here legally. They got to come and go through the channels legally. And as far as kicking people out, referring to possible people that are here in the United States illegally, or his statement about Muslims, which, hey, listen, I agree. I believe in free speech and free religious beliefs, and just because you're a Muslim and you believe in Muslim religion shouldn't be a reason to be tossed out of the country. I believe that. I think his comments were taken out of text. He's, in lieu of the world situation with the terrorist offshoot of the Muslim religion, because even Muhammad Ali, who is a Muslim, has denounced some of the things that the offshoot of a Muslim group like ISIS it doesn't follow what the Quran says and all of this stuff. So, I mean, things are taken out of text, and the media magnifies it. And as far as Bernie Sanders goes, I mean, yeah, it sounds good, but Sal, and I know you and I have talked about this off air, Bernie Sanders sounds like a socialist to me. And you can't, our forefathers in this country set this country up so that people would have all these opportunities in business and in life. But it's not supposed to be handed to you. You're supposed to work for it and achieve it. The door is open, but you have to achieve it. Now, of course, if there are people that are physically unable to, they need assistance. Okay, I get it, and I support that. But I don't believe in a country that the government should control everything. The government pays for your school. The government pays for your medical. The government gives you the job. The government does it. And at the end of the day, when a government controls everything, it's called socialism. What's your thoughts?
You hit it on the head, Bill. You and I share probably the same political background and spirit, and I know we do because we talk about it. And it is. This country could be moving into that direction if we have too many of the wrong people leading it. And I mean, that's why I believe Donald Trump is so exciting to so many people, because he is not part of the establishment. Just like Bernie Sanders hasn't really been part of the Democratic machine, Donald Trump sure isn't part of the Republican machine. That's why he's having some trouble even with the Republican Party right now itself. And there is little clarity on calling a spade in the political world, because these politicians have so many spins and so much wiggle room to turn a statement around. I believe Bernie Sanders is probably a great guy. Do I want him leading the country? I'm sorry, I really don't. But I think that his statements and his actions and his talks could lead us to a real socialist society. And that doesn't work on so many levels for so many reasons. Where's the spirit to build, to contract, to profit, to work? Yeah, we take care of other people that need it in form of taxes, donations, and other things. But the bottom line is, and we will always do that. We will take care of the needy and make sure that those advocates and those people that truly do need our help will get the right help where we can. And I would love the opportunity one day to take my money and have the government mail us out a pie chart of where we can allocate what percentage of our income into what, whether it be Homeland Defense, whether it be seniors, whether it be this or that. into our military, into our retirement. There should be a pie chart that everybody gets to allocate a certain percentage of what they have to give up as far as taxes. You'll have a lot more people feeling better about where they're going to go, but you best believe that people will be putting their monies in not every place that the government is allocating our monies, but more of what they feel their money should be doing.
No doubt. And the funny thing is and this is another reason, not that I'm campaigning for Trump or anything, because, but I look at it this way. The government is so effed up right now. It's so messed up from every level, from local level all the way up to the feds, right? And you need a reboot. I keep saying it, a reboot.
Yeah.
And look at it this way. In the state, most states claim it, but I'm just gonna, bash my own state of New York, right? When they legalized, gambling, legalized gambling here, with the Native American casinos and lotto and everything else, the battle cry was that all of the revenue, or that a big portion of the revenues, were going to go to our school systems, right? Well,
right.
Across the United States, man, the United States, our education systems are dropping faster than rocks in the water. We're scoring low. The dropout rate in high school is higher now than it was 25 years ago. You got kids that are, getting addicted to heroin, which, if we've learned anything as a society, we learn that you shouldn't smoke cigarettes and don't do heroin. If the two top things, that we've learned over the last 100 years, here's what we got, Sal. You got kids today that are friggin' smoking cigarettes and shooting H, and they're dropping out of school, and it's like, wait a minute, where did all this money from the lotto? You see these people sitting outside the convenience stores, playing lotto and scratch-offs like they're at a casino, for God's sakes, And I know people that spend $200 a week on lotto tickets, and it's just, where's all that money going? And it's sad. It's sad because
it's sad.
It's a sham.
What I see down in Georgia many times, people take their government checks, cash it in, and go buy lottery tickets.
Exactly.
It's sad. It really is. And look at what they did down in Atlantic City. The dreams that they said that the casinos would bring and build and take care of and clean up the city. It never did that. None of that money ever reached there the way it was supposed to. And it still looks like the same barrio outside the casinos as it did years ago.
And actually,
there's drugs, there's prostitution, there's things there that are not supposed to be there.
Well, I will
promise that would be cleaned up.
I will say this: in the '80s, Atlantic City was bad. That's when the hypos were, coming up on the beaches.
On the beach.
But not now. It is a little cleaner, but nobody's there anymore either. But hey, Sal, I was going to let you go, but I got one more thing I wanted to throw at you because
as long as you need me, pal.
Well, I got to get some other stuff, and we're going to open up the phone lines here in a little bit, and we're already, we're almost at an hour already, so time flies. But this one's right up your alley. So I don't know how you feel about this, owning Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian restaurant on St. Simon's Island. And by the way, if anybody's going near there, you got to stop off and say hello to Sal. He'll show you and tell you every picture he's got on a wall. It's like a shrine to all the great fighters, including Sal. And you could check out his menu online, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com. And what's your special today, by the way?
We are going to do something with seafood. We did a nice zuppa de pesce last night and over linguine, and we're going to probably do something like that today. I'm bringing in a beautiful 8-ounce filet mignon, and we'll do that with roasted potatoes, and we'll have that with also some spinach with the garlic, olive oil, white wine. And
Stop! You're killing me. You're killing me.
We make a nice move. For you.
Why can't I come there and move? Why can't I?
Absolutely.
Where's Max?
I need pizza. I put a nice. I make it nice of this. I put a fresh mozzarella.
I need Max.
And then I put some arugula. Maybe some capicola. We do it nice.
I need Max to hook me up, man. But listen, I wanted to throw this at you. It was announced today, worldwide. Now we have 1 in 8 people worldwide. Now the United States is a lot worse, but worldwide, 1 in 8 people now are obese. Have they been hanging around Sal's too much or what?
Well, no, you know what? It's a shame. They look at these charts, and I know they change the parameters to some degree here. What is considered obese, but I mean, you look. I'm not putting down my home state right now of Georgia, but you walk and you see with some of these people, you just look at and I say I feel bad. When are they going to implode these guys? They look like walking heart attacks, and it's a shame. I mean, some of these people, they got to really take stock into being accountable and looking at a better or healthier lifestyle. And talk about feast or famine. We have a bad situation. We are a nation that consumes. We are a nation that wants more. We are a nation, sure. That's why we are also leaders of the free world. But the bottom line is, we should take stock on what we're doing. And it's not the government's decision on buying a Big Mac
right.
or putting how many calories are there.
Exactly.
It's accountability by oneself.
You're right. That's
what do
so
you want
funny.
to do with your life? Looking at that mirror. Look at the person that's looking back at you in that mirror. That's the only person you got to answer to on a level that's going to be for your health and your wealth, because your health is your wealth. And I'll tell you what. You want to be a cafone, you go and you do what you got to do. You want to live at least a balanced life, a healthy life. We're not saying you can't, but you got to decide, what do you want to do? And you could take each day is a brand new day to start a new lifestyle and to change your old habits and cultivate new habits. You could do this. It takes 3 solid weeks to conform and be disciplined. But after those 3 or 4 weeks, you'll start to get in a regime and a regiment of saying, hey, guess what? I now feel comfortable. I can keep this up. I can maintain it. I can benefit from this. I'm telling you, I feel sorry for a lot of people. Maybe they just haven't been educated. Maybe they just haven't been led to the right path. But I mean, it's a shame, because this society, our culture, that we consume and eat and overeat and indulge. And the Europeans, they look down and they look at us and say, well,
the difference, but the difference with the Europeans is they don't drive around as much. Well, the biggest business here is those little driving carts. I mean, you see them lined up. No one's in the supermarket anymore. They're all racing around with those. No, they're all a bunch of lazy bastards.
I had guess what? I ran to Walmart 2:00 in the morning after I closed the pizzeria the other night to get the headset I'm wearing right now, and my jaw drops when I walk there just to see.
There's 100 of them.
All these people. I thought there was going to be one of these security cars directing traffic with these little mobile things going around the Walmart.
I know, it's crazy. Hey, when I look in the mirror, all of a sudden the guy in the mirror goes, hey, hey, hey. It's like, whoa. Baby, hey, hey, it's Fat Albert.
Decision. It's one's life. Hey, literally, you are what you eat. Why not? And you know what? It's not to say one's good, bad, or indifferent, but you know what? You make a decision. It's your life.
Hey, listen, Sal, I appreciate you coming on. We had a great week. My man, Coach, is informing me here. He's already made plans. He's stopping by the restaurant sometime in June. He's got to go down in your area for some other things, and make sure you meet him. He's a great guy. I'll tell you one thing about Coach right now. He's going to make you sign something. He likes to get everybody's signature, so he's probably going to, have a picture of yourself ready, because he collects that stuff, and give him a signed picture, because he loves that stuff. And Coach is a loyal listener.
I'd be honored for that. I'd be honored to give Coach that. And I see the guys in chat room, Duke, you got Dax, you got Josh. It's great. I think it's a great base to be involved in, and I'll definitely do whatever I could do. I thank you, Billy C, for the opportunity to share this time on air with me. And anytime you want to talk politics or anything else, I'll give you my thoughts. But
Monday, baby, Monday. We'll see what's going on. But
we'll open up the can of worms.
There you go. We already have. Sal, you have a great day, and I'll talk to you later on.
Absolutely, guys. You take care, okay? And in the famous words of Aaron Pryor, you got to fight to win and keep on punching. All right.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
Take care. Bye-bye.
That's my man Sal, Rocky Cenicola, coming to us live from beautiful St. Simon's Island, Georgia. And like I said, if you are heading south or if you're in the south right now, make sure you go by, man. St. Simon's is a nice little place. I actually love it. I'm still hoping Sal adopts me so I can move down there. But Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria, check out the menu online, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. And I'm telling you, all the food on his menu is great, but I'm a big fan of the pizza. And if you mention Billy C, he'll throw you a cannoli, all right? And their cannolis are to die for. But I got another email here. I'm going to take a break in a few minutes and get through some news real quick, and we'll open up the phone lines. My man Joel says, hey, Billy C., my favorite NHL team, the Canadiens, were officially eliminated from playoff contention last weekend. This week, they put backup goalie Ben Scrivens on waivers. What do you personally think the Canadiens need to do to rebuild for next season? Fire their head coach, Michael Theoren, get rid of guys in the front offense, or do they need to maybe trade some of their players for some younger, hungry players? Another big issue this season for the Habs, where a lot of players were out with injuries too. So sometimes I guess you can't blame the head coach. What's your thoughts? In today's, one thing I like about college sports is that in college sports, teams revolve around the coach. The coach implements recruiting procedures and they put up their system and they put their pillars in place for their teams, whether it be hockey or basketball or football or baseball. And the beauty of that, and it's actually hard for the coaches, is that they have a revolving door. The turnaround on their teams happen pretty much every 4 years. You got new blood in there, and as long as these kids are playing within the system, you can really tell when a coach is good or not, because if you have continued success with that program, regardless of who's playing. In professional sports today, just like Joel is mentioning here with the hockey, players make so much money, and professional sports it's such big business that when you sign a player and you're paying millions of dollars a year for that player, and then your rest of your bench, it becomes a financial decision when there's a problem. That the bottom line is that what you got to do is you get rid of the coach, because the coach generally is a guy that's making the least amount of money out of everybody. So to blame a coach is hard in professional sports. Now, with that said, if you give a coach a stacked team, and for the most part they're all playing at a high level, and he can't get them together, he can't motivate them, he can't put together game strategies and so on and so forth, then the coach has to go. Sometimes a change is good. But when you factor in injuries, and then you factor in the lack of depth that a lot of teams had, including the Canadiens this year, they had a lack of depth to fill in for those injured players. It's hard to blame the coach, although a lot of times they do. Sometimes organizations get too fat and too comfy with their front office, their coaches. They get into a routine. The Canadiens are a good example because they have a loyal fan base. They do very well at the gate. And at times when a team is making money, the business aspect of the team might not be anything more than putting money in everybody's pocket. The winning is secondary, because let's face it, as long as people are buying tickets, that's all that matters. Somewhere along the line, you need to produce championship level teams in order to maintain a fan base. And really, the fans drive sports. All sports, whether it's professional or college. So really the burden falls on the fan. The diehard fan has to say enough is enough at some point to send a message clearly to the organization. So in my opinion, Joel, I think the organization is more to blame than the coach. He says, lastly, what's your thoughts on MMA finally being legalized in New York, and would you ever go to a show if it's not too far from the area? I'm softening up on MMA, and I've done shows. I've called MMA shows before, amateur level in New York, and also outside the state. Now that it's legal, it's going to be interesting to see. I haven't gotten any updates on differences in cost for a promoter to promote MMA, but we'll see. A lot of the MMA gyms in the state of New York have been crying about legalization in New York. So let's see now if the promoters step up, and we'll go from there. I'm a little surprised it got approved, especially in lieu of multiple lawsuits going on right now against the state and the State Athletic Commission due to some injuries that took place inside the boxing ring. So we'll see what happens. This is from my man Chip. He says, hey, Billy C, is Floyd going too low? He's called Adrien Broner a snake and an alcoholic. They're both below the belt comments to the public about your so-called little brother, right? Do you think he's going too low? I think Floyd Mayweather, is a listen, he's a talented fighter. So inside the ring, he's arguably the best of his era, or was when he fought. But as a human being, I think he's a scourge of the earth. I think that his mentality is that of a bully high school kid. I don't think he's as smart as people give him credit for. Is he rich? Yes. Somewhere along the line, he had some people helping him make some good decisions. I think he's got some mental issues. We know he beats up women. To me, that's a problem. He also picks on weak people like he used to. I don't know if he still does, but beats up on teenage and young adult security guards because he thinks he gets special privileges. I just think that he's acting the way he really is. What you see of Floyd Mayweather outside the ring is Floyd Mayweather. And how people can support this man is beyond me. It's pretty crazy. I do believe that he is going to end up pissing away all his money. I know a lot of people feel that way. A lot of people feel we're wrong. A lot of people feel that he has made some smart investments. I do believe that at some point, like his comments about him saying that about Adrien Broner, that he's broke and that will always be a free TV type fighter, and that Floyd spent more money on one car last year than Adrien Broner made all of last year. To me, these are all statements that not only diss the sport of boxing, because if Floyd Mayweather is suggesting that the only way to make a lot of money in the sport of boxing is to be on pay-per-view, well, he's giving nothing back to the fan. I mean, remember Floyd's mentality. And I can appreciate him being a businessman and trying to make as much money as he can. I can't knock anybody for that. And I certainly don't knock Floyd for trying to make as much money as he can inside the ring. But what bothers me about Floyd is that he blatantly fleeces his own loyal fan base. Just like we were talking about before with him thinking he's funny by saying that he's willing to fight Triple G in September at 154. To me, that just shows that Floyd Mayweather is a gutless piece of shit. I mean, that's what it is. I wish I was a little younger. I'd love to punch him in his fucking face, to tell you the truth. But that's just me. I know Larry Merchant. I was going to say Larry Hazard. I know Larry Merchant wanted to do it, and I give the old guy credit, even though he's a couple of vodkas, too many over the limit. But the bottom line is Floyd Mayweather calling Adrien Broner a snake and all of that. It's WWE, just like my man Coach always says. It's WWE. I'm thinking that this fight is going to happen between these two guys. I think they're laying the groundwork. But quite honestly, who cares? Speaking of Adrien Broner, he weighed in 0.4 pounds over last night, and he decided that he didn't want to try to lose it and gave up his title. This shows the kind of mentality he has. I think that he's a wasted talent, and his ship is going under. and he may watch himself against Ashley Theophane this weekend because there seems to be a lot on Adrien Broner's mind. They call him the problem, and I think he's creating problems for himself. One other thing I wanted to mention real quick is that Adrien Broner had some issues with the Washington, D.C. Boxing Commission yesterday concerning his bench warrant in the state of Ohio for that alleged robbery and at gunpoint at the bowling alley. He had to agree that he was going to voluntarily turn himself in on Monday morning in order to get licensed in the District of Columbia in Washington. And I really think, and I know that a lot of boxing fans are going to probably disagree with me, but I really think the right thing that should have been done here, if there was really a bench warrant, and now I don't know if the state of Ohio reached out to the D.C. Boxing Commission and asked for something, but if they did, I think that they should have made an agreement. And then maybe let him fight and then arrest him or not let him fight. I don't know. I mean, remember this. Zab Judah wasn't able to fight in the state of Nevada because the Nevada State Athletic Commission enforced some alimony payments that he hasn't paid. And he didn't want to pay them. So, he ended up getting his fight canceled. Why didn't D.C. Do the same thing to Adrien Broner? They should have enforced it. And to me, it seems like the promoter, the boxing commission, et cetera, we're all trying to save the show for the profit that, Spike TV might be making, the promoter might be making, and they kind of covered their eyes for maybe what was the right thing. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know. It's a 50-50. Hey, listen, I am going to take a short break right now. When I come back, I got a couple of things to talk about. Then I'm going to open up the phone lines, and we'll go from there.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
Now, back to the Billy C. Morning Show. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Morning Show. It's being brought to you by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria, an Italian restaurant in beautiful St. Simons Island, Georgia. Check out their website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-268-2328. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by JKJ Boxing Magazine. It's for free, so why not subscribe? Visit our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click on the JKJ Boxing Magazine banner, which is on the right-hand side. Now, remember, you can download it for free, and you can also get it shipped to you, basically for free. You just got to pay for the postage for wherever you are. But the magazine itself is for free, so you got a couple of options there. Get it. It's new, and it's going to get better and better. We are going to be submitting some content for it, especially for the next issue. So make sure you get that now. JKJ Boxing Magazine. I just want to, before we open up the phone lines, I just want to say, Devin Alexander was a fighter with some great promise, and he seems to kind of have gotten off the track a little bit, and he was exciting to watch for a little while, and then all of a sudden he kind of changed, the whole way he fought, and he's kind of not relevant anymore in his division. But it was announced yesterday that his brother Von Alexander, who's also a professional boxer. He's 5-0 with 4 knockouts. Has resumed his boxing career. Now he's been in the joint, man. He served a pretty lengthy sentence. I believe about 6 years or more. He was just released from prison, and he's picking up his boxing career, and he's looking to continue. And there's some footage of him. If you do a search on Vaughn Alexander, you can see some footage of him training and sparring. He's a middleweight, and he's going to get back into the ring. Devin Alexander has been quoted as saying that out of the two, his younger brother was the much more talented fighter. So who knows? Maybe we'll see another Alexander hit the boxing ring soon. So Vaughn Alexander, let's keep our eyes on him. He's currently 5-0 with 4 knockouts. So we'll see what happens. Last night in hoops, the Cavaliers beat my Nets 107-87. LeBron James had 24 points, 4 rebounds, and 11 assists. And as a result of the 24 points, he passed Wilkins on the all-time scoring list, and he's now number 12 in all-time scoring for the NBA. That's pretty impressive considering LeBron James still got plenty of career left. One thing about LeBron James I'm going to say, he entered the NBA right out of high school, if you recall. And this kid, considering that generally when young kids get the money that these, athletes get today, as young as they are, a lot of times they piss it away or make some serious mistakes, get in some trouble and all that stuff. LeBron James, for the most part, he's kept his nose clean. The only other guy that I think that really made an impact in a professional sport, made a lot of money, started out young and had a full career and never got his ass in trouble, kept his nose clean, was Derek Jeter. And I'm not a big Yankee fan at all, but Derek Jeter was a class act, and I believe LeBron James is as well. Also, some other scores in the NBA, the Orlando Magic topped the Pacers 114-94. Nikolai Vucevic had 24.6 rebounds and one assist. The Bulls got by the Rockets 103-100. Jimmy Butler, 21 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. The Pelicans beat the Nuggets 101-95. Tony Douglas, 26 points, 8 rebounds, and 11 assists. The Thunder eked by the Clippers 119-117. Russell Westbrook, 26 points, 8 rebounds, 11 assists. The Trailblazers topped the Celtics 116-109. Al-Farouq Aminu scored 28 points, 9 rebounds, and an assist. Don't forget, speaking of hoops, that was the NBA, but don't forget tomorrow, the Final Four, starting around 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Villanova going up against the Oklahoma Sooners. Villanova is a 2-point favorite as of now, so you're giving up 2 points to pick Villanova. As far as the Final Four, North Carolina against Syracuse. North Carolina is the favorite by many to win it all. They're almost a double-digit favorite to beat Syracuse, 9.5 points. That game is scheduled to start around 10 minutes to 9. My picks in these two games, I believe that Oklahoma and Syracuse are going to upset the apple cart and play for the NCAA championship on Monday night. April 4th. And no, it's not an April Fool's joke. I'm telling you, I'm going with the Orange Men. There's something about this team. I know they're the number 4 seed, but there's something about this team in North Carolina. They're the big dogs. And, sometimes when a team is playing a team that's a big underdog like they are tomorrow night, they have a tendency to be a little lax and maybe think that they're already looking forward to the tournament and who they're going to play in the championship game. And a lot of times when you're playing a young, scrappy team like the Syracuse Orangemen, you could bite yourself in the ass. I'm predicting 2 upsets this weekend. Oklahoma Sooners and Syracuse Orangemen advancing to the NCAA tournament on Monday night. So we'll see how that works out. In the NHL, we had some scores from last night, a full schedule on tap. The Sabres topped the Maple Leafs 4-1. My Islanders got a W, 4-3 over the Blue Jackets. The Penguins 5-2 over the Predators. Hurricanes topped the Rangers 4-3. Canadians 3-0 over the Lightning. And I'm sure Joel was wishing they were playing the way they have the last couple of weeks all season long. But the Panthers topped the Devils 3-2. The Senators 3-2 over the Wild. The Stars topped the Coyotes 4-1. The Canucks 4, the Sharks 2, and the Kings shut out those Flames. The Flames lost again. Kings 3, Flames zilch. So that's what took place there. Open up the phone lines right now. The phone is 845-228-8710. I didn't even get it out. And my man Joe's on the line. Jesus, man, what were you anticipating? Were you reading my mind or what?
No, I gotta take my neighbors. I told you about my elderly neighbors. I got to take them to the wife to the dentist in a little while. So I wanted to get a call in before I have to head out.
I was just saying it. I was just saying it. The words were just coming out of my mouth, and I look up.
I took a chance because I know sometimes, I'm a little pushy, and I call when you say, don't call yet, and then you hang up, and I understand. So I said, let me try. Maybe he'll get it when he has to get out, the scores, and then he'll pick up. But you might have just answered my question. So what do you watch when football ends? Are you into NCAA basketball when it starts in November, or are you really just into it during March Madness?
I got to be honest with you. I know most people that like to watch hoops prefer, college basketball, and I just, as exciting as it is, and as much as I love the college level sports, I got to be honest, and I just never really got into it. I like watching the tournament because there's so much action and the way these kids play. You can't always take the best team on paper because the enthusiasm sometimes carries these guys. And I love it. I don't mind watching the tournament. I will be watching the Final Four this weekend, and of course the championship on Monday night. But after football season, I start getting jacked up for baseball, man. I've become a really good baseball, big time baseball fan,
right?
Yeah, I'm a Mets fan. But I like baseball because the older I get. Now, when I was younger, all I cared about was boxing and football, and I'm a big fisherman too. I like to go fishing, but
you like to hunt?
I'm not a hunter. I don't have anything against hunting, but I love the wildlife myself. I don't have anything against hunting as long as people that hunt follow the rules. If they get, I want them to get their license. Right. I want them to get their license. I want them to hunt during the proper seasons, and I hope that they're hunting, for their freezer and not just for the mounting of the head. But to me. I don't have, like I said, I don't have anything against it, but I prefer fishing. But the older I get, the more I'm into baseball, because baseball is a type of sport for me that I could not have to watch every single pitch. I could have the game going on. I could be listening to it. I can listen to it on the radio. I could be doing other things. It could be on TV, and I could hear what's going on and not really feel like I missed anything. With football and other sports like boxing, I got to watch every single second. I can't miss a down in football. I can't miss a punch in boxing. Basketball, with the exception of college hoops, you watch the last 2 minutes and you can see the exciting part of the game. I love going to basketball games, NBA basketball games live. There's no difference. I mean, there's a big difference.
I thought you were going to insult yourself and say the reason why you watch baseball is because as you've gotten older, it's a slower game, so you're able to keep up with it. That's what I thought. That's what I was waiting for you to say. As I've gotten older, that's what I thought the route you were going. You say, it's a little slow, because all the guys I talk to in my gym are your age, a little older, and they'll say the opposite. I like baseball, but I don't like watching it during the season. It's kind of boring. I don't like watching it as much. You can watch the ninth inning, and so. I understand. I like, if I'm home on a nice afternoon day, like the beginning of the season, I'll watch the Yankees or something, but it's tough for me to watch, it's tough for me to really sit down and watch a game like that. Boxing and MMA are the really only two sports where I can really, because I can't sit still, I can't pay attention to them. Those are really the only two sports where I feel like I can really watch and sit down and enjoy it and not get up and move around and stuff.
Well, I tell you, I love going to live baseball games because it's in the summertime and I get to see all the hot girls. They're all the chickies are nice and exposed a little. And when you go to a live football game, they're all bundled up. You never know how good they look.
Yeah. But I wanted to just ask you, and then I'm gonna have to hang up. But it's funny. We have two situations. You're talking about Adrien Broner being allowed to fight tonight. I just realized as you were speaking, I was in the grocery store trying to listen to the show a little bit, and I think I heard you talk about him or something. And it's interesting that we have in boxing, we have Adrien Broner being allowed to fight tonight. I don't know if you heard in MMA, John Jones got a speeding ticket the end of January, I believe, and he was put on probation because he actually caused a big accident last year before a fight, and then he got pulled from that fight, and they stripped him of his belt. And then there was a video that leaked, I think last week, where he got pulled over for allegedly drag racing in his Corvette, and he was mouthing off to the cop. Now, what's interesting is the big commodity. He's just about the Floyd Mayweather of MMA, except the guy is incredibly talented. He's not running. He doesn't run around. He just his kicks where he doesn't even take people down. He trips them down. He's a very he's incredibly skilled. He's 1 in a million. And it's funny because the UFC released a statement. They said, while they're disappointed with his language and actions toward the way he spoke to the cop, they're still going to let him fight. And I just it just bothers me because I feel like in sports, in any sport, boxing, football, MMA, baseball, whatever, this is the problem when the people who run the commissioners and the presidents or the promoters or whoever don't put a stop to this. They have so much money that they just think they can keep doing this. And they will keep doing this until they kill somebody or kill themselves or seriously injure themselves or somebody else. What do you think about that?
I think the bottom line of what you're saying is that, superstar athletes from any sport get special treatment. And I think you're right. And, that's a problem because, it's hard for us normal people to even think of what, first of all, to get to the level that these guys get. When you look at the NFL, and how many times you say, that guy, he sucks, he's third string or something. And when you really start to think about how good even that third string guy is to be on an NFL team, it's mind-boggling to go all the way backtrack it all the way to like a high school level. And, you take that best guy on the high school team that, was better than anybody. He's the guy that makes it on a college team. Then all of a sudden he's on a college team with, all guys that are better than him, and then the best guy on that college team might make it onto the NFL. So, so right out of the gate, the talent level of these athletes are so much higher than we can imagine. But they've been that high since Pop Warner level sports, Little League, when they fight in amateur, etc. So they've gotten used to being treated with special, situations, kid gloves, so to speak. And as the pro, when they start getting special treatment in the real world, like you're saying in the legal world, it's a problem because it's a double standard, and I think it's bad because, while they're, hey, listen, the whole situation, O.J. Simpson, he was one of my childhood heroes. I remember watching him, play football, and the guy was amazing. And when he went through the trial and stuff, it was hard to see a guy that I loved so much, on trial for a double murder, and a lot of people try to make it, more of a racial issue with that situation. But it was deeper than that. I mean, anybody, the police that were investigating, they were big fans of his, so, and he clearly got, some special treatment. It should stop. I think that laws are made to be upheld. I'm not, I mean, some of them are stupid, maybe, and some of them aren't. But I think that as a society, we all need to follow them, whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're a superstar athlete or not. Special treatment, like what's happening with Broner and like what you're saying with Jones, is not right because they never stop. Look at Floyd Mayweather. How many times has he beaten up women and he ended up, makes it like he went to prison for it. It was a county jail that he was a superstar in, I mean, they can't. They need to, if you or I mouthed off to that cop, we would have been slammed against the hood of the car, handcuffed and dragged away, so.
Yeah, one curse word, we would have been, yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, the bottom line is, laws are made Not, we're all supposed to follow them. Whether you're, hey, listen, politicians do the same thing. How many times? Everybody knows the thing about Ted Kennedy. Getting all wasted. Having some hooker in the back seat performing whatever on him, and they crash the car and she drowns. And they make it like he went to get help. And come on. Did she really drown? And he got off.
The thing is what bothers me is the UFC has a lot of sponsors, big sponsors, Bud Light, so forth. I don't have to go through the list, but I'm just saying, there's companies, you've heard it before. And, if you keep a guy like John Jones, and the other thing I find interesting is, is it going to affect him mentally? Because he's got the fights April 23rd in Vegas, and he's fighting Daniel Cormier, who's light heavyweight champion, who I absolutely love. The fans, they had a press conference showing with all the fighters for their cards from April to June on one stage, the beginning of March, and it was funny. The fans were cheering Jones crazy, and I'm a better guy. I'm changed. I'm a better family man, and I'm saying to myself, you guys are cheering this guy, yet this guy, he got into an accident in May. They found condoms in his car. I think he had marijuana. He ran from the scene. He hit a lady, and he hit a woman, another driver who was pregnant. I think she hurt her arm, and now this is happening. And for UFC, I mean, I kind of hope when the fight comes that in 3 weeks, which I'm definitely watching, I hope this affects him mentally, because I would love nothing but to see him lose, because then I think it would bring him down to reality. He got a loss. He was messing around. He was doing stupid things. He was mouthing off to cops. And that's not a big issue in boxing, because it's not a promotion. There's promoters, but with the UFC, if they're going to keep letting him run amok, then I think that sometimes these guys come down to earth when they have that loss, and then it kind of grounds them, and they say, God damn it, maybe I should have cleaned up. I told everybody I was behaving, and I really am not. And now then they lose, and it's like, then they realize their focus wasn't on the fight, that they were drag racing and mouthing off the cops and all this stuff and being who they think they are,
Yeah, well, just to, I agree with that. I just want to point about the sponsors real quick. Sponsors are forgiving when they're making money. They do draw a line, traffic issues and maybe until somebody's convicted, they wait for that whole process to go, because they're confident that big dollar people like Jones can maybe buy his way out of it, and he ends up getting a warning or whatever, and it's not good. But sponsors, when something really serious happens, really do distance themselves. And a great example is, people forget, but like 7-Up was a big-time sponsor for Sugar Ray Leonard. Pepsi was a big-time sponsor for Mike Tyson.
Did Leonard was he physical with women? I heard somebody a long time ago say he was a little physical with women. Is that true? I wouldn't know.
Who?
Sugar Ray Leonard, yeah. The one that's still around that does the BBC.
Yeah, Sugar.
Is he abusive?
Well, not as regular. I mean, he had some domestic issues with his first wife, but
okay.
But I mean, whatever. That's neither here nor there. But when Mike Tyson, basically got accused of rape and after all of that, and then the ear biting thing with Holyfield. I mean, the sponsors distanced themselves from him like the plague. And then what they did kind of was said, forget this sport. And a guy like John Jones is kind of, in that kind of position. The only thing he's got going for him is that the UFC is a league, and they're a buffer. You know what I'm saying? And they could come down on the UFC, just like the NFL. They have strict rules with their players, and the UFC has strict rules with their fighters. Now it's going to be up to the UFC to see what kind of ramifications they put down on him. But they're going to wait for the legal process to run its course.
Listen, very last, and then I got to run and get my neighbors. Your thought tonight, prediction with Broner's mental state, with the issues, and he's got to go to court on Monday or something. Does that affect him against a really faded Ashley Field pain, or do you think he schools him tonight? And do you think the ratings will be big because people are going to want to tune in? because it's like, wow, this guy just got in trouble. I want to see him fight. Like, what those two quick questions, and I'll let you go because I have to go too.
Well, first of all, I think that. Well, Ashley Theophane, I'm not going to agree that he's severely faded. I think he's at the same level that he has been. He's just not an exciting fighter, and he's no spring chicken either. And he's a successful guy outside of the ring. With that said, with all the trouble and everything else, I don't think it's going to affect Adrien Broner. This is not a competitive fight. I mean, Adrien Broner should take care of business. As far as the people watching it, numbers-wise, the PBC is in trouble. The numbers have gone down.
Do you think the Easter fight that he's in too deep against that Algenis Mendez guy?
Do I think which fight?
The Robert Easter, the guy, Broner's sidekick right there. He's on the co-feature.
Yeah, Robert Easter Jr. That fight is. I think that fight.
I don't think he's fought anybody that good, and
No.
I'm just like, when I saw them announce that fight, I said, wow, he's in deep because he's been fighting the typical, Al Heyman kind of guys who moved up in weight, who are, padded records. So I don't know. I'm very interested in that fight. I got a lot on TV tonight. I got WWE, something's on tonight with WWE. I want to watch that on the network. I got boxing, I got MMA. So but yeah, I'm sorry. I'll let you say your thing, and then I'm gonna run. Go ahead. What were you?
My point about the Broner fight was that the PBC is in some serious trouble numbers wise, and I don't think Broner versus Theophane was a smart move to try to bloister those numbers. When you look at the co-main, you look at the co-main, it may be more competitive on paper, and it may end up being a competitive, entertaining fight. But against what people may think, most people do not tune in, even if the undercards feature the best fights of the night. Most casual fans, and I believe that the PBC has more casual boxing fans than diehard fans. I think the diehard boxing fan, misses the traditional things of boxing, the ring card girls, the announcer in the ring, etc., etc. So with that said, the undercard is not going to be an attractant for people. So even if the undercard in the co-main event is good on paper, I don't think it's going to help the ratings. I think the PBC ratings are going to continue to go down, even with all the PR and stuff that's been going on between Adrien Broner and Floyd Mayweather. I don't think people are going to tune in just to see if something happens. It's not going to happen. And I think that the PBC is starting to slip, bro. You heard my prediction. Maybe it's going to happen a little later.
I agree.
I know, but maybe later than I originally thought, because they seem to be dragging it out. They certainly haven't put out as many shows, have they?
No, that's what I want to talk to you about next week. I was going to bring that up, but it's after long. But I do want to talk to you. Maybe I'll write you an email. But yeah, I noticed how everything's on Showtime now, not PBC. But listen, buddy, I'm going to run. Thank you so much for your time. It's funny that I called just as you were giving out the phone number. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. So you're going to be on next week, just Monday through Thursday.
Right now, Monday through Thursday, we might stagger it a little bit. I mean, we're technically supposed to be on 5 days, but we'll see what happens next week. We got a lot of stuff going on, and we're trying to see how this morning show works out. So far, people seem to like it. So.
Yeah, no, I like it. I enjoy it. Whatever, like I say, whatever you do, I'm always behind. I love listening to you. Like I said, Monday through Wednesday, I'm at the gym. When I come home, I try to catch up on what I missed, and then I watch the live part, and then I catch up. But listen, buddy, you have a great weekend. Enjoy. I'll definitely send you an email after the Adamek and Molina fight with my impression. Hopefully you'll have a vomit bag next to you as you read it, because I know that's what's going to probably happen when you hear that I ordered it. But I'm still definitely ordering it. Looking forward to it.
I'm just glad that they at least have one guaranteed buy.
Come on, one, maybe two. What if Dax is gonna, it's almost 2:00. He said, "Gee, I have nothing to do today. I'm gonna press the buy button. I'm gonna order, but I'm not gonna tell Bill."
Listen,
you never know. You gotta be careful.
Let me tell you right now, you could take this to the bank. Dax will not buy that fight.
I know.
All
right, buddy. Look, thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you next week. All right.
All right. Take care.
Take care, buddy. Bye.
That's my man Joel. He's in the chat room right now, and he's doing a good deed. He takes his elderly neighbors around when they need it, which is pretty cool. It's for a young guy, that's not the norm today. But we're not going to take a break here. We are going to pack it in probably about 10, 15 minutes. The phone line is open. We want to hear from you. 845-228-8710. 845-228-8710. Major League Baseball. I was talking to Joel about that a few minutes ago. And, I love the sport of baseball, and I seem to be getting into it more and more as I age. But I don't follow the spring and, preseason or whatever. But the regular season opens up officially on Sunday night. And we got 3 games. The Cardinals are playing against the Pirates at 1 p.m. on ESPN. And, the Cardinals are always a tough team. And the Pirates are, are an exciting young team. And I think they're going to be a team to watch this year. That's from the NL. Now, the AL on Sunday at 4 p.m. on ESPN2 is going to have the A's. No, not the Athletics. The A's, as in the Blue Jays against the Rays. They're going to be playing 4 p.m. ESPN2. 2 questionable teams. The Tampa Rays. They've been up and down the last several seasons. Blue Jays are a really good team. I was surprised that they didn't do as well as many anticipated at the end of last season in the postseason. But we'll see what happens. It's another good game. And then the third game of opening day is a World Series rematch between my Mets at the Kansas City Royals. That game starts at 8:30 p.m. on ESPN. I think it's pretty interesting that Major League Baseball had put these matchups, all of these matchups, they were all significant matchups leading into the World Series. And I find it pretty interesting that they put all of these to kick off Major League Baseball, which I think is pretty cool. I am not a huge fan of the interleague play. I think it hurts teams more than helps them. But to have the rematch between the 2 World Series teams should be interesting. I have a lot of high hopes for my Mets this year. I hope they just don't do what a lot of fighters do, start believing their own press clippings. And they seem to be walking around with some chips on their shoulders. But the real season starts Sunday night, so we'll see how they fare. I'm looking for them to do well against the Royals. Rest of the teams in Major League Baseball all start on Monday, April 4th. So we'll keep you posted on that. Joining me right now is Dax Khan. What's up, brother?
What's going on today?
A lot of stuff, man. We're talking sports. We're talking boxing. We're talking politics. We're talking a lot.
On today, huh?
Yeah. We're talking a lot of stuff today. And, one of the big topics today, Adrien Broner, Floyd Mayweather, it seems like such a scripted WWE thing. I mean, all we're missing is somebody throwing a table or a chair at each other, I mean, what's up with that?
Yeah, I was all over Adrien Broner missing that weight yesterday as soon as it happened. And actually we got some feedback from after we posted that by a lot of people who listen to the show or other boxing fans. Everybody's been all over that, just bashing Adrian, which is nothing new for him. Ever since ever since he lost to Marcos Maidana, he's become sort of the poster boy for boxing memes. But Greg Haugen, posted on one of our social media pages. He goes, "What a lazy chump! I mean, ex-chump. He's not a champ. You sweat it off. It's less than a half a pound. Do what you're supposed to do."
Right, and that surprised me. It was 0.4 of a pound, and he didn't even try to get rid of it. Dax, Adrien Broner seems to do all the wrong things. I was trying to, give him credit for his talent to Larry Hazard the other day, and Larry's like, I disagree with you. I don't even think he possesses the talent. And now I'm starting to wonder, has he lost it? Is this a guy that has fallen off track so much mentally that maybe his career is over? I don't know. What do you think?
That's actually what was going to be one of my next comments. Because I also incorporate something here that Joel just spoke about before, and what you spoke about earlier. Is Adrien Broner, he started to believe a little bit in his own press clippings and all the accolades he was getting. And I think Adrien Broner, because he was always such a big Floyd Mayweather follower, that he's sort of seen a little bit what happened with Floyd when Floyd was younger and he was Pretty Boy Floyd, and how he wasn't really selling. So as soon as Adrien made a bit of a name for himself, what Broner did, he had himself that shtick, combing hair in the ring, giving people something else to talk about, and that was more of a marketing ploy, in my opinion, than anything. And as the more attention he got, it came so quickly, he didn't know how to handle it. And, we spoke yesterday, Bill, about years ago, you only had a few people, or may have been Monday we spoke about, how you only had a few people in your camp that, that took care of everything. And these are the people that looked out for you. You don't see anybody looking out for a lot of these young fighters anymore. There's nobody in their ear telling them, you're messing up, kid. This isn't what you're supposed to do. Nobody's going around teaching them how to behave in public, what to say, what not to say. And when you're young, even when you're older, but when you're young and you get this sudden surge of fame and you get this sudden amount of money, it's hard to deal with. If you or me suddenly came into all these millions and millions of dollars, and everywhere we went, people are trying to touch us, and well, they do that with me, but if with you, people are trying to touch you and take pictures of you, you would be very confused in your head on how to deal with this, and that's what happens to a lot of these young guys, and that's what happened to Adrien Broner. And because Adrien Broner was all of a sudden anointed as the one who's going to take over for Floyd Mayweather, that's a lot of weight and pressure on his shoulders. So the young man didn't know how to act, and there's nobody in his ear telling him how to. And he's making a lot of mistakes that young people make in general. A lot of foolish pride, bravado, not thinking before they act. And when you have so many people there in your face all the time, you can't get away from anything. And so now you're under, several different types of pressure. You have your personal pressure, and then you have the pressure where everybody's just constantly rubbing it in your face. And with the way social media is nowadays, you just can't get away from it. And it's a hard thing to deal with. It's a hard thing. We speak about this all the time, Bill, you and I, off the air, about, social media and the impacts that it can have. You see things on this new thing where they talk about, the cyberbullying, so to speak, with kids, and we've seen kids commit suicide. I'm not saying that Adrien Broner is going to commit suicide, but my point of that is you can't get away from your mistakes. There's nothing you can live down, and so you're constantly, sometimes the harder you try to do good is, that's when you mess up. John Jones, Joel was speaking about John Jones before, and some of the things that he stated, I agree, but also what a lot of people don't understand is they forget John Jones, on his way to win that light heavyweight title, actually stopped his car to help somebody who her purse was snatched. He actually ran down and tackled a purse snatcher or a chain snatcher or something like that. And it's not the first time. But then John Jones is another one. He's a young man, only in his mid-20s, who all of a sudden has all this fame and all this pressure on him, and he doesn't know how to deal with it. Or maybe he does know how to deal with it, and some of these things were just blown out of proportion. It's not an easy thing.
No, there's no doubt, and just to you said people always touching you. I think you confused that. I think you're touching yourself too much. But anyway, the bottom line is no. I agree with you. And listen, these guys aren't the first. Guys that get money, and even myself. When I was young, I happened to, have some money, and I pissed it all away. I mean, most people that have money at an early age aren't mature enough. Only the real smart ones are mature enough to hold on to it. And we see it a lot, especially when all of a sudden they get a lot of money. As far as Adrien Broner and your thoughts on him, I think that he was a train wreck, and I don't know if he realizes what's really happening. I think that this guy might not be repairable, Dax, and I think tonight is going to be a big indicator. If he takes care of business in a dominating fashion, knocks out Ashley Theophane, I think that, things could move for him in his career-wise. Probably attitude-wise, it'll be even worse, but career-wise will probably move in a positive direction and in a financially rewarding direction. But if he struggles tonight, and if he wins a fight that's not impressive or not entertaining or anything, he's going to start dropping. His value is going to start dropping even more. And just to touch on the possibility of him and Mayweather fighting, Mayweather, I could see him possibly fighting Adrien Broner, but I really don't see him taking any risk. And Adrien Broner, he still does possess some talent, but I don't see Floyd Mayweather taking any kind of a risk. That's just the way he is. He's yellow. He's yellow when it comes to that. And one last thing, what he's doing on the Facebook stuff, or whoever's doing it for him, with the April Fools with the Triple G, to me, that's a classless act. It's not funny because
there's some fighters, some professional fighters buying into it.
Yeah, but
they're
it's not.
It, going, great job, champ, and this is what the best of all time does. It's like, are you kidding me?
Well,
man?
I'm glad. I'm glad they do that, because that really, magnifies what a chump he is and how less.
No, they're buying
I
into
gotcha. I gotcha. I understand. They believe it, and that just goes to show you what a chump Floyd Mayweather is, because he would never do that. If Floyd Mayweather honestly would fight Triple G, I've said it a million times, whether he wins, whether he loses, whether it's a draw, my respect for Floyd Mayweather as a fighter, because as a human being, I still think he's a piece of garbage. But as a fighter, I have to raise him in my overall, all-time great list, because he would have went and fought, the best guy in the era, similar to Sugar Ray Leonard. But I don't think Floyd will ever do it. I think if anything, he fights, the more realistic, if he comes back for number 50, will be the Victor Ortiz, Andre Berto winner, or Manny Pacquiao, if Manny Pacquiao looks good against Timothy Bradley. If Timothy Bradley beats Manny Pacquiao, he's not fighting him.
No, he wouldn't. He should have fought Timothy Bradley a long time ago. Actually, there's several opponents that were, Marcos Maidana. As much of a fan I am of Marcos Maidana, that right there is a time where he could have fought Timothy Bradley. That Timothy Bradley, a pound for pound for years, and we say it all the time, a good 5 years anyway, he's been a top five pound for pound fighter in Floyd's weight class. So there was no reason why that fight could never take place, other than Floyd, as you stated, he wasn't chancing it.
No. And the same thing is, he could have fought Antonio Margarito when Margarito was in his prime as well, and he avoided him, and he wouldn't fight Paul Williams. The guy just, when he took control of his career, when it was over with Top Rank, every fight was a calculated fight, and for Floyd. And for Floyd's financial gain, smart moves. Whoever, because obviously Floyd doesn't have a brain in his head. So whoever advised him to do it and he listened, smart moves. But don't tell us you're the best fighter ever when you cherry pick. Because all the greats in this sport of boxing have all fought outside their comfort zone. Floyd has never done that.
Ray Leonard, he went all the way up to light heavyweight.
I know. But my point is, when Ray Leonard came out, like we said earlier, when Ray Leonard came out of retirement, one of his retirements, he seeked the best guy. He went after the best guy, the top guy, the top dog in a weight class that he never fought in. That's another thing, and the whole thing about Triple G is, Floyd doesn't have to fight at 160. Floyd could go into a fight comfortable at 150 and make a catch weight at 158 or something like that, 157, make Triple G come down a couple of pounds. Floyd could still be, as much as I'd love to fight and as much as I want to see it, Floyd is probably one of the only guys out there right now that could possibly beat Triple G because of his boxing ability, but yet he doesn't have the hairs on his balls to try.
And the difference is Triple G, we all know, he's a fantastic boxer. He's not just a puncher. And Floyd, if he can use his legs, I agree. He may be able to outbox him, but you're going to have to use those legs all 12 rounds. You cannot sit on that rope and you cannot lean back and try that shoulder roll because Triple G has that punch through you power. He's not going to touch you. He's going to punch through you, and when he hits that body, you're going to turn to the side. And if Triple G lands one of them monstrous body punches to the kidney, you're going to drop down. It's a bad matchup. In a way, I almost can't blame Floyd Mayweather for it. But
well, you know what? One thing I want to just comment on that, a fight that's never going to happen. My biggest interest in that fight, aside from watching Floyd getting carried out on a stretcher, would be to see how well, because I think that Triple G, including Floyd, I think Triple G is the best ring general in the sport of boxing today. I don't think anyone controls the ring better than Triple G. And Floyd Mayweather is regarded as a very good ring general too. It would be interesting to see if Triple G could win that ring general battle between Floyd and himself. Because, we've said it a million times, Triple G anticipates where his opponent's going to be. They try to move to the right, and Triple G's already there. It would be interesting to see how successful Triple G would be to confine the track star known as Floyd Mayweather.
He would definitely come up with a plan, in my opinion, but it's never going to happen. And here's one we spoke about with Russia, and you stated, who is allowing this to happen? This is bad promotion. This is bad management. Yet Deontay Wilder's going over there May 21st to defend his title.
Yeah, well, there's one easy way to, assure yourself of a victory, and that's going for a knockout. And Deontay Wilder's game is knocking out his opponents. Although he won a fight, on the scorecards to win the title against Berman Stavern, I think that he and his team know that they're going to have to knock out Alexander Povetkin. Now,
it's what happens afterwards. Forget the knee.
I know.
I don't doubt he can get the knockout. It's what happens with that testing.
Well, I think that they were smart to listen to some of the comments that you made yesterday about people trying to offer you, like what Tyson Fury was saying, trying to offer you bottles of water. Don't eat anything from there. Don't drink anything from there. If I'm Deontay Wilder, I bring all my and listen. I've known many fighters. Vasily Jirov is one of the ones that come to mind. Quickly to my head because I was involved with a fight against him. But this is a guy that brings all of his own food. Or used to bring all of his own food to fight venues, regardless of where he fought. If he was traveling for a week, they would have all their own food for that whole week would be brought in, and you police that stuff. Make sure you know everything that goes into your body, and insist upon a VADA type testing agency, not the Russian testing agency. The Russian Olympic testing is obviously tainted, but but I think Povetkin will beat Deontay Wilder by himself. But if he doesn't, I think that Deontay Wilder does have a chance of knocking out Povetkin. Povetkin, he takes shots, And
Deontay Wilder is another guy with one punch power if he landed on that button.
That's it.
And when you do look at the difference, I know there was a video out there I was watching not too long ago, and I'm not really sure if they were just showing a picture in the video, but Tyson Fury was speaking about the size of Alexander Povetkin, and it was actually Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, and Povetkin all together somewhere. I don't remember exactly when that happened, but Alexander Povetkin looks like a midget compared to them.
Yeah, no, he's
tiny compared to those.
Yeah,
guys.
I think, what is he? He's like 6'1"?
6'3".
6'3", okay. All right. Yeah, well, remember Chris Arreola.
A big heavyweight at one time.
Chris Arreola, when he fought Klitschko, he looked like a midget, and Arreola's 6'4", so, listen, your boy changed the complexion of the heavyweight division, Lennox Lewis, we get these, 6'5" plus guys that are weighing 250 that are in great, phenomenal shape, and they're athletic, so, they're big men.
But none of them are the boxer Lennox was.
Well, Lennox was somewhat of a complete package, whatever, but...
he was the complete package, but anyway. And here's something that talking about future fights being set up. I'm starting to believe that the confidence level over in the UK, I think we all believe so, that Anthony Joshua is going to beat Charles Martin for the IBF title, because Tyson Fury is starting to talk a lot about Anthony Joshua. One of his most recent comments is he's useless. He has no idea how to defend himself. You know, to me, that kind of sounds like they're already trying to sell that fight.
Listen, you know, several years ago, I said that the UK carried boxing on their shoulders, and you know, the U.S. boxing scene kind of, you know, blossomed after that, and you know, it was pretty hot here for a couple of years, but it's gone back, you know, and those guys over in the UK have a tendency to fight the right fights. You know, they fight each other. They're not afraid to get a loss. They'll come back and fight again, and the fans support it. They fill up the arenas. They have those TV deals, which are you know, getting money as well. So I mean, you know, they should be an example that American boxing should follow, because the UK, specifically England, fighters, you know, I give them more credit than they actually get. You know, I mean, everybody wants to come over here and fight in the U.S., but the truth of the matter is the action and the fan support is on the other side of the pond, man.
And they still have what we speak about all the time, especially yourself. You know, they have the professionals there, and not every guy who's a professional has to be at that top level. You know, they have the professional opponents, the guys that have the 30, 40, 50 losses, but when you look on there, they've been knocked out a handful of times. So these guys are just as capable as anybody, even though they mount up these losses. You know, pretty much their role is to help build the guy to be a future star, or they're used as a measuring stick on if my guy can't beat him, there really is no hope for him. So, you know, and the UK fans, like you said, they still go and they watch, and they'll defend these guys, rightfully so, for all these losses, because they still have that respect that a lot of fans here don't have today, with the fact that, you know what, they're going in there, they're risking their health, they're risking their life for our entertainment, for our enjoyment. They're putting in the work, and they respect the fighters for that. And that is what a lot of we don't have in this country anymore from the younger fans, because their mindset has been changed through the promoters. You know, just like the young fighters, the whole mindset has been changed due to what the media and the promoters and the younger fans expect of them.
No, you're right, Dax. We got to go, but before we go, just on that thought, I want to throw this at you, and I agree with you. The fans appreciate a lot of those guys with the double-digit losses are entertaining, and they always try their hardest. But in lieu of that, in lieu of the fact that the BBBSC allows those guys with the 20 and 70 records to fight and stuff, what's your quick thoughts? You got about a minute on David Haye. And I think that Shannon Briggs is, you know, a complete joke, but Shannon Briggs busted into the press conference the other day, and David Haye using the fact that he's got to get a brain scan in order to fight him, and knowing that we know that he had already gotten one, but you know, what kind of BS deflection is that from David Haye, considering that the BBBSC usually approves fighters like you're referring to right now?
Well, the ones that I'm referring to right now, those type of ones I was referring to simply because of the fact, you know, how they can handle themselves in the ring. You know, they lose, but they're not blown out. As far as the David Haye wanting that scan, that's just all a ploy to more or less drag it out, where David Haye is hoping that a bigger fight is going to come along when one of these champions or somebody's open up or has a spot open, and that fight will never happen. I doubt if it's ever going to materialize. Real quick before we go, just one thing. A big shout to Heather Hardy for being one of the latest females in a long time in Ring Magazine, and she did a great job on Boxing 30 on the Yes Network the other day. Matter of fact, in the whole team, Bill, she was the only one who actually knew what was going on in the sport, and that includes the host, who kept insisting that Terrence Crawford was a welterweight. So great job to her, you know. And I love, you know, whenever one of our New York fighters do great, no matter who it is.
Sounds good, my man. Listen, you enjoy the weekend, and we'll be looking forward to you next week.
Absolutely. Can I have one last quick question? If you have a bad experience with something, Bill, and you say it was a bad experience, is that slander?
If I have a bad experience with something and I say it was a bad experience, Is it
Right.
considered slander? I don't think so. I think if you
Yeah, I had a real bad experience helping out a neighbor of mine, an elderly neighbor, get her service turned on over at Time Warner yesterday, and they were just giving her such a hard time, and I had to go over there and pick up her equipment, and they were giving her such a hard time, and the lady who was at the desk, she was great, but the computer wasn't working right, and the supervisor comes out, and he was such a pompous, arrogant person, and speaking down, and he was just very insulting. And I said, every time I see something bad or a bad experience, I'm going to remember this. And he goes, you can't do that. That's slander, and we'll sue you. So my whole thing, what? Time Warner and their customer service is horrible, especially their agent, Jacob Citrak. This is the most obnoxious individual I've ever met in my life, and I'm just confused on how such a big company has people like this out there representing them. And you know what? That's not slander. That's just the fact of my personal opinion, and I'll speak about it every time I have an opportunity here. I'll speak about it on the corner store. I'll wear a T-shirt, and Jacob Citrak, you can sue me for the slander.
Not only that, but it's a personal experience that you can back up. So, yeah, I would suggest Time Warner fire his ass, man.
I tweeted it out on their account, and you know what, Jacob Citrak, it wasn't even 30 seconds later, the actual company, because I sent it direct to them, was on there asking me how they can help and change my experience, and their apologies.
Well, hopefully you say fire his ass.
That's what I'm saying. Fire him, fire him, fire him. Or you know what, maybe he needs to get himself a scam, because that's how you act with your customers. You got issues.
There you go. Listen, my man, have a good weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, and one last thing, subliminal message, Joel, don't buy the Atomic Fight.
Goodbye, Dax. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
That's Dax Khan. Check out his column, www.billycboxing.com. One thing I wanted to mention real quick, NFL notes, Colin Kaepernick, which is a quarterback that's been discussed for three major teams right now, Broncos, the Browns, and the Jets, all showing interest in him, trying to work out a trade with the 49ers. Well, after yesterday, Colin Kaepernick's $11.9 million salary kicked in. So it looks like the 49ers will be holding on to him unless some team can come up with a decent trade offer to wrangle him away. But I think that he is still a good pick for the Niners. And I would have loved to have seen him on the Jets. I just am not that keen on Ryan Fitzpatrick, but that's me.
Wake up. It's time for It's too early for a trivia question.
Today's It's Too Early for a Trivia Question is being brought to us by the Southern Gourmet Spice Company. If you're looking for a unique spice, check out Kenny Bears. You can get a bottle by visiting our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click on the Southern Gourmet Spice banner. Here's a Who Am I question. I'm going to read it once. I'm going to give you the hint of all hints. Everyone can get it right except for Coach because he's got too much prizes already. If you get it right, you win a copy of the championship, Title Bout Championship computer game. Who am I? I once stopped a world champion in less than a round. Then in my next fight, I stopped his brother. Who am I? The hint is both of these fights took place prior to 1920. This fighter that I'm looking for, he was a former world champion. And now the hint of all hints, he was a former world middleweight champion. If you're the first one to email me, Billy@TalkinBoxing, that's TalkinBoxing.com, you'll win a copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game. Good luck to everyone on that one.
This day in boxing history.
And finally, this day in boxing history is being brought to us by my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold. And you could literally get a copy of this right now by visiting barnesandnoble.com or amazon.com. Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is a great read for anyone, not just boxing fans. It's the story of a freed slave who basically got robbed of a world title shot, and he's still getting robbed today for not getting the recognition that he deserves. Read my book and help me change the way we look at Tom Molyneux. On this day, April 1st, in 1925, Mike Ballerino wins a 10-round decision over Steve Kid Sullivan to win the World Junior Lightweight title, took place in Philly. On this day in 1975, Urbito Salvarara wins a 15-round decision over Sumo Hangarata to win the WBA Flyweight championship. That took place in Japan. On this day in 1938, Joe Louis knocks out Harry Thomas in the 5th round to retain the world heavyweight title in Chi-Town. That's Chicago. In 1938, Fred Hospitali wins a 15-round decision over Glenn Lee to retain his world middleweight title, and that took place at Madison Square Garden in New York City. And on this day, April 1st in 1961, Emil Griffith knocks out Benny Kid Parrott in the 13th round to retain his world welterweight title in Miami Beach, Florida. This was the first of 3 fights. Parrott won the second via a decision in September of 1961, and then Emil Griffith on March 24th, 1962, won via a knockout, and Kid Parrott subsequently died as a result of that on April 3rd. Hey, man, that concludes our show for today and for the week. Make sure you tune in Monday morning to catch us, and I'll leave you with this. Don't forget to tune in Monday morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. The Billy C. Morning Show. Have a great weekend. Ciao, baby.